In this review we look at two versions of the Kamag Wiesel logistics vehicle. The snappily numbered 64214809 is in the colours of DPD, and model number 64214814 is in the colours of DHL. Tonkin has recently set a very high standard for the quality of its packaging, and that starts with a very robust outer shipping carton. Inside there is a high quality presentation style box. It has a very stylish feel to it, all dressed in black and with a nice window that you can see the model inside. And the branding is nicely understated. Anyway, enough drooling over the box, let's lift the lid and see what's inside. With the lid off we see there's some high quality foam, and that adds to the high quality feel of the packaging. There's no finger holes to help you get the container out, so you just dig right in. But there are some gaps around the Kamag Wiesel, so we can pull that out quite easily. And the only other item in the box is a bag containing one part. That has to be fitted. Well, in terms of assembly, there's not much to it. There's a plastic post which pushes in, and that seems to be the indicator for when reversing up to a container. And then the container itself just hooks over a couple of pins at the front. For the detail, we'll look at the DPD version. The chassis is nicely detailed, but the silver rivets on the steering mechanism stand out a bit, and the tyres all have the same tread pattern. But the wheels are nice, as is the Mercedes-Benz cab, and that even includes an air conditioning unit under the walkway on the roof. A nice touch is the blanking plate on the wheel arch with its highlighted bolt heads. There's some nice detail on the top of the chassis with walkways and coiled lines, and nice graphics along the edge. At the back there's a non-usable towing hitch, and the lights have decent plastic lenses. The container is all metal with a rear roller door, and the graphics are very sharp. The DHL version of the model is identical, except it's not identical because it's the DHL version. One interesting little detail to note on the model is that the container is actually branded NZG. The Kamag Wiesel is designed to be used in the yard to shift containers and trailers, and in the cranes etc. yard it rolls very nicely. The rear wheels spin together on a common axle, and at the front the steering's got a reasonable range of movement. On cranes etc. we always like to see a truck turning, and the little Wiesel does it very nicely. Another feature of the model is an interesting aspect of the real vehicle, and that is that the fifth wheel is raised by a hydraulic ram for when it wants to engage a trailer. And here you can see that the ram is fairly stiff and will hold the fifth wheel at any position you set. Of course, if you're carrying a container you don't want the fifth wheel in the way, so it presses back down flat. The other feature of the model is that the whole of the load bed can be raised on hydraulic rams. It is very stiff at first, but it does raise up in order to lift the container off of its support legs. So in that way the Wiesel can reverse under a container, lift it up, and then the legs can be folded and the container lowered and driven off. Let's now take a look at the metal container, and it's a heavy solid part, and it's got pull-out support legs. To get them to stay in the down position you need to pull them out and rotate them, although it would be better if there was a more positive lock on the legs in the downward position. You can stand it on its legs, but the container gives a good impression of having had too much to drink, and so it's a little bit unsteady and rickety. Another option for the model is to use that fifth wheel and put a trailer on it. The opening for the kingpin is very large, more like a Techno size rather than WSI, but even so this trailer goes on well enough, and you're able to move the Wiesel and the trailer together. After that you can load up the heavy containers, and the ram on the fifth wheel still manages to hold its position. Now it's time for a genuine imitation, real-life test, and using Cranes Etc's patented Starto Stoppo motion, let's see the Wiesel in action. Tonkin Replicas has produced a very nice model of an interesting and unusual vehicle. It's very well presented in high quality packaging, and it has a good level of detailing with some nice functionality. Both these versions in DPD and DHL colours look smart, and overall this model is easy to highly recommend.